This is going to be tutorial 2, and we are going to take a look at the exercises. So we just talked about generating random numbers, and so now I need to just double check what are my directions. I need to generate a random number between 50 and 100 inclusively, which means include 50 and 100, which is why we played around a little bit with our random numbers, and then declare an array of integers with that random number as its length. So that's going to be our next task. So your choice on which way to generate a random number. I think I'm going to use the math.random. So I'm going to copy that line of code, place it up here, and I'm going to get rid of my second or my first, the other option for generating random numbers. I can delete my for loop because I don't need that. And then I need to create an array of integers. And that array of integers is going to hold some random values. So I decided to rename my random number list size, and then I created a random integer array, so int bracket, and I named it list, and it's going to be a new integer array of list size. And then I just printed out the list. And I did this just to kind of show you that the name of the array is actually a memory location. If you look over here, you get the memory address for where that's at. If I actually tried to output a value that's inside the array right now, if we run this code, it gives me 0. So it gave it a default. I was expecting maybe possibly an exception error, but it apparently fills it with default values of 0. So now that takes care of this first item down here on my list, and I can kind of delete that. I've got an integer array between 0, and I declare an array of integers with that length. And sometimes I maybe don't want to delete all the instructions. I might just give myself a little comment like int between 50 and 100, and then int array of that size, so that I'm kind of processing as I work through this project. Next, it says that I want to place this into a JText area. I don't have to do the JText area. I am going to create 50 random generated integers, and they're going to be in the following format. The first one is going to be from 0 to 4, the next one from 5 to 9, and the next one 10 to 14. And so if I add 0, if I go from 0 to 4 and I count that on my hands, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's actually a range of 5 numbers. If I start at 4 and I add 5, I get the 9. Start at 9 and add 5, I get the 14. Same here. 0 plus 5, 5 plus 5. So I have a difference between these ranges of 5. So my first job is going to be give me a number between 0 and 4. So I can borrow my random number generator that I had before, and then I'm going to generate a random number between 0 and 4, and I'm going to work on filling the array with those values. So I'm going to need an array, and I'm going to do index starting at 0 and until less than or equal to 50. I need 50 randomly generated integers, so it's going to be less than 50. So my highest index will be 49, index plus plus. And just to get us started, if I go ahead and copy in my random number generator line. Now here's the deal. I don't have my algorithm worked out yet for whether those numbers are going to be in the correct range, so I'm just going to play with this for a little bit, and I'm only going to maybe generate 5 numbers to start with, because I want my first range to go from 0 to 4. Okay, so delete some of that out. 0 to 4, 5 to 9, etc. And so you can kind of see how I work with this slowly. Now I just deleted one. But I go 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, etc. And inclusively means including those endpoints. So if we play around with this just a little bit, and I create my array, and then I'm going to fill my array. If I fill my array, this will be a list bracket index is going to be assigned, and it's not going to be list size anymore. I just want to create an element to put into the array, and I would declare that variable outside the array like this, and likewise get the rest of my code squared away. And because I have more than one statement in my for loop, begin my curly braces, end my curly braces, etc. So I'm going to get 5 elements into the array, and that's not a print line. To get it into the array, I'm going to do that. And then if I wanted to output it, it'd be system.out.println. And then I'm going to say list bracket index, just to make sure I'm using the array element and not the value that I just created. And it fixed my, and I want to go 0 to 4, I believe. So I need a range of 4 numbers starting at 0. And if I execute this and see what happens, we will see I get 0, 3, 1. And again, I want to make sure that I actually get to 4 inclusively. Now again, I'm not seeing it get to 4. And so that's because when I multiply by 4 here, we have a little bit of round off error. So I'm actually generating a range of 5 numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now that's executing properly. So I need this range of 5 numbers right here, and my starting value is going to change every time through. So I am going to create a variable that's just kind of like my starting value, or my offset, so to speak. I don't know what I want to start it at or call it, but I'm going to call it maybe my offset. I still don't like that, but we'll call that offset. And then as I work through this, before I go back down on the next iteration, I want my offset then to be increased by 5. And so if I do this, we're just going to go 5 times. Let's see if we can actually, let me generate 10 numbers. Let's see if we get our numbers in the correct range. So for example, the first one's between 0 and 4, next one 5 to 9, next one 10 to 14, next one would be 15 to 19. That looks good. Next one would be 20 to 24. That looks good, etc. If we run 20 numbers, not 20, 10 numbers, let's take a look and see. Now I've got a glitch here, I think. We've got 20 to 24. Well, actually, I'll be okay because the next range is 25 to 29. And then the next range, etc. I think we're doing okay. So our numbers are now randomly generating, and I need to create, I believe it said, and this is where I need to read. I think I need to create 50 of those. 50th integer should be between 249 and 245 and 249. So if I go ahead and generate 50 of these and check my last number, is it between 245 and 249? It looks to be good. So now I'm done with that next set of instructions.